Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Hu, and today we're going to see why we are in the danger zone. I'm going to explain what's going to happen with the SP500. I'm going to explain you as well what's going to happen with the BTC, and we're going to also do a market analysis and check my portfolio for the last week. So stay around. Before we start the video, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Only 3.9% of my viewers are subscribers, and I need your help to reach that 1000 subscribers. So smash that button. Let's get back to the video. So to better understand what's going to happen with this week and why we are in the danger zone, we're going to jump into the graphs. So let's do this right now. So the graph we have here is exactly the same that we used in the last week on the previous video. As you can see, you just check on the link or up here. This one, what I've changed was actually increase one more line here, which this is the line that we had, the top highs that we had in March last year, and then we had a drop, and we're going to see what's going to happen this week and why we are in the danger zone. So usually what happened before was, as soon as we reach this point, we are in the danger zone. There's two things that could happen. So one thing is this can go up or this can go quite down and then reach the point here at the 41k. Again, one of the things that I want to show you is why is this being repeated every single time. So we got this point here, and if you go down, we got this point here as well when we have a breakout here. Let me increase the size. So as you can see, we have here two breakouts, one breakout around here, another breakout around here. This was stable for a bit and then had the increase and then went down and reached the exactly same support around the 3.3. And here we had exactly the same thing. We had the breakouts and we went down much lower than was before the support. So, and this could happen exactly the same thing for this week. If you're going here, we had a breakout. We have the breakout already here as analyzed, and then there's two things that can happen. One is go up and we're fine, or the other one is going down. We still going up for the next week or so because we still have a bull market here. And we don't know if this curve is going to do like this so suddenly. I don't know if this could happen. It could happen more towards the end of the few months or so. I doubt that this is going to happen this month. What is the risk here and why we are in the danger zone? This danger zone around here is because if we go long, so if we're going to open a long position for a long term, this may go down and is quite risky. So it's a quite risky move to go long on any stock at the moment. This is a really complicated week because the SP500 went up a few points, but only the FANGs like Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon and Google, only those three, and the other stocks like growth stocks like Palantir and Corsair went down quite suddenly. They went down around 5% or so, and the SP500 has moved around only those stocks. So this is a quite complicated week to go for a long because we have here breakouts, and I may see some shorts going on right now, so we can reach again the support at the 41k, which is going to be around this area around here. So I do think not in this week because we're going to continue to go up, but the next week or so, the next month, we're going to see a correction on the markets, and it's probably going to reach the support again on the 4.1k. I won't go long. I'll invest in probably and do some average probably in stocks that went down quite high, like 10% or 15% that you have on your portfolio. The ones that I invested, and I'm going to explain you this more towards the end of the video on the portfolio performance. I didn't went to any of these stocks. I went to an ETF, which is REML. I'll explain it later. In all the stocks that I'm going to buy, I'll have some precaution. If you know how to trade with shorts, go for it. Probably this is going to be a week to do some shorts, but I'm not comfortable, and this is not the kind of the trade that I usually do. I only do long trades for long time positions. For me, this is a peculiar week, which I won't invest. I'll stay as is, and probably I'll sell one or two stocks that aren't performing so well, like Palantir or Corsair, if they go up, and to get money as balance so I could reinvest in the next upcoming correction. Now, regarding Bitcoin, is going to be another peculiar week because we have reached the support at 55k as we have here. Now let's see what's going to happen this week, if it's going to be a nice time to buy or if it's going down for the second support at the 50k, and we can buy again. One of the things that I had in mind for this week was invest in ADA and Cardano, but I'm going to have a control of what's going to happen with BTC, because if it's going lower than the 55k, otherwise I'll invest in at the 51, not the 55. So now what I'm going to do this week is to see what's going to happen. If it's going to reach the 55k, lower this value, and if go towards the end the 51 or lower than that, because if we reach the 50k, probably the next one is going to be around the 40k, which I doubt it. We may have here a rebound around here, and then this probably it's the time that I'm going to get in on to buy more ADA or even BTC. So this again is going to be a really interesting week with the SP500 and the BTC to see if we reach the all-time highs in terms of SP500, but I doubt it because there's a big player in the market at the moment, which is Tesla, and with the Tesla not having so much profit because of BTC, probably people's going to sell Tesla, therefore the SP500 is going to move as well towards down, and with that the BTC probably is going to be followed as well and going to be sold as well, and so we're going to have here a snowball effect with Tesla, with people selling Tesla and with people selling BTC. So this is going to be two factors that's going to be important for the market for this week. Tesla is going to be highly affected with the profits going down. I think they bought around the 50k mark. Let's see what's going to happen. So this is actually a big player in the market for this week. Let's see what's going to be the behavior and see if people's going to sell like crazy, and because this is going to affect the SP500 and as well the BTC because of the market cap that I have at the moment. So if you guys want to copy my trades, you can just log into the eToro and search for my nickname Kinite, and you can manage to copy all my trades by investing around $800 or $1,000, which is what I recommend. At the moment, my portfolio it's almost at 28% of profit in the last 12 months, and is going to continue to increase, I hope, for the next months. Bear in mind that I invest every single month, so every single month I do increase my portfolio. Therefore, you may need to do more deposits in order to copy all those trades. Otherwise, the values won't be copied because you no longer have money available and your balance is zero. So this is something that you need to bear in mind. Sometimes your portfolio gets stuck because you didn't invest more, therefore those trades are not copied as well. For example, I have people on my portfolio that already reach around 13%. They're not increasing more because they didn't invest more. And this is to the fact that I'm not a daily trader, I'm a long-term investor, and that's why some of the trades may not be copied because you no longer have a balance available. So this is something that you need to have in mind. The portfolio performance for this week, we had the market with an increase of 3.30%. My portfolio had an increase of 1.74%. We overperformed the markets in terms of 0.4%. And since inception had increased in 17.81%. The top 5 stocks for this week we have, it's Alibaba with 8.07%, which I intend to sell in upcoming weeks or so. It depends. I had a sell point in order to shift the money from Alibaba to the ETF that I spoke in the last week, which you can see as well on the video from last week. And I have also Pfizer, which an increase of 5.38%, British American Tobacco with an increase of 4.13%, which it was quite good, and is one of the things that I want to do is actually to get out of the British Tobacco, and probably I'm going to sell this stock in a few weeks time in order to cash in and reinvest in other stocks like Disney or so. British Petroleum, which is the BP, had also an increase of 2.70%, and AGNC Investment, which had an increase of 2.46%. Bear in mind, this stock had increased this week because the ex-dividend date is going to be the next week. This is also one of the reasons why I didn't put any stocks for this week, because I didn't find any stock with higher dividends than 5% with a market cap more than 2 billion. And this is one of the reasons why I didn't put any of the stocks up for this week. In terms of payments that we had for this week was Store, Main Capital, and AGNC. We're going to see this on the spreadsheet so you can have a better look of actually what's been paid for this week and for this month, and also the actions. In terms of new acquisitions was REML. So REML, it's an ETF that I got for this week. They have a dividend yield of 14.48%. This, I think, was a nice stock to have on my portfolio since it has been increased in the past few years, and we had a drop around 3 years ago, a big drop around 3 years ago with this ETF. And the good thing with this ETF, they have 2x leverage, so you're going to receive more dividends, of course. That's why it's a 14%. So although when it crashed the double. So I don't have too much money invested here, but I want to get the 14% of dividends that this ETF gives me. So every single month they redo the stocks that I have on the ETF, and they recalculate all the monthly compound interest. So that's why we don't have the same yield that we have every single month, but is roughly around 14%, and this may go up or down depending for each month. It's a really nice price. It's a really cheap at $6.97. I think it's a quite nice investment to have on our portfolio, even though not have too much exposure and not too much risk, around 1% at the moment on my entire portfolio. It's the minimum that I have on my portfolio. Actually, it's around 1%. If it drops down, I don't have too much of a concern. Although I intend to invest in the future, trying to shift some stocks into REML. Let's see how it's going to be the performance. The performance has been good in the past years. I hope this continues. This has a big impact on the mortgage, and I don't know what's going to happen with the banks in the future, since it's quite complicated at the moment all around the world. Even here in Ireland or United States, it's really hard to buy houses, and the mortgages are starting to be less and less. This is also something that I need to have in consideration and see what is the tendency of the market, and is something that I'm always looking into. How is the mortgage situation and how is the house situation in the United States, of course, because this is a US ETF, so therefore I'm buying it as a CFD. In terms of open orders, we have ADA. All the orders that I had before I've cancelled because of the danger zone that we are at the moment, and I'm moving real precautious towards the markets, since we don't know if we're going to have a sudden market correction or we're going to have increase and reach another breakout. In terms of averaging, I acquired the ETF MG, which was one of the ETFs that I acquired last week, which I intended to remove all the Chinese stocks into this ETF, so I don't need to manage all the other stocks, and I have another reward by having another 1% of dividend which this ETF gives me, and the stocks doesn't give me anything, and I still have the growth of those stocks. In terms of the top payers, we still have the ET, Energy Transfer, and in terms of the top dividend yield that I have on my portfolio, we still have the AMZA, with around 12%, but now we have REML with 14. And in terms of the portfolio, it's still undervalued in 33.3%. So we had a slight decrease from the last week. In terms of portfolio future growth, we had also a slight decrease in terms of 30% that we had last week. We have now 29.3%. The stock with the highest volatility is still the PFG, and the stock with the lowest volatility is still Unilever. Once again, I hope you enjoyed these tips. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like. Also, if you think that I forgot something that is important for this week, please let me know. Leave the comments there, and I'll try to respond as soon as possible. Once again, thank you guys. Cheers. See you next week.